Yes, thank you for jumping in to the poll, slido.com. And for the rest of you, we really would like to hear from you. This is, again, front loading for our conversation. It's going to get us started. What have your greatest struggles been with meeting the needs of your students in the online classroom? So dealing with their issues, health, new situations, etc., with empathy. Labs. Excellent. What else? Engagement, perhaps, attendance, participation. We'll hold out a few more seconds. We are at 12:15, but I would like to have everyone take some time to add to our slido.com. Slido, by the way, is free. You can easily get to it by slido.com, and you could set up your own account. And when you do, you'll be able to use Slido very much like I'm using it with you right now for your own online classrooms. It's easy, it's free. And as you can see, there's a QR code that is auto-generated for you. So Slido prepares that QR code and it just pops up right on the question. I didn't have to create that. And, as I mentioned last week, if you just take your phone and open up your camera, put your camera right to the QR code, your phone will go right to slido.com where you'll be able to immediately engage in the active poll. So let's take a look at the poll. Again, what have your greatest struggles been with meeting the needs of your students in the online classroom? The biggest struggle is getting students to read and use all the materials I've included for their success in the modules. Having to do the Zoom classroom observations, attendance in the Zoom meeting, not actually attending the Zoom meeting, connecting as needed, not answering the instructor's messages sent in the Quincy College email, engagement, agreed, blending class, low attendance on weekly questions and answer sessions, students are not cohesive as a group, and yes, I agree, it makes it hard to set a standard practice. Students not attending Zoom, not reading the Canvas pages and skipping right to the assignments, and dealing with their health issues as we mentioned before. The pandemic has definitely thrown a lot of people out of their daily realities, and I am one of them. So thank you so much. You'll receive the Slido poll results in our upcoming email to you. I'm going to now bring us to the presentation. And so on your screen, you should actually see our presentation. And I'm going to actually turn it over now to Melody, who's going to begin today's session talking a little bit about universal design for learning. Melody?
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. In the very beginning, I just want to introduce this principle. I'm sure that a lot of faculty members already know this principle and maybe have already implemented some principles in their own teaching. And so the UDL principle stands for Universal Design for Learning. Universal means that the learning materials can be accessible, can be understandable for every student in the course. So that requires the instructors to keep everyone in mind when designing their course. This video is made by CAST. So CAST is an organization that transforms education through the UDL Universal Design for Learning, and they have their own website, cast.org. And if you are interested, you learn more resources. They have great authentic examples in their website. You can find the resources more relevant to your subject. The video gives a brief introduction of what is the UDL principle, why we want to follow this principle, and briefly introduce the three principles we're going to cover in this session. After this session, we're going to send you the YouTube link for this video. Yeah, so here is our first principle. It's for multiple means of representation. It encourages the instructor to sharing content in multiple formats. I know that the text content for the is very traditional ways. that the instructor pull up the readings in PDF, upload the readings, and have the students doing the reading assignment. But for an online environment, the students are sometimes they need the visual representation. For example, like graphics, audience, video. And the more important, the more effective way is using a combination. For example, using the text with images or play the video, but with closed captions. So this is based on the Richard Mayer's multimedia principles. The human learn more effectively when there are multiple medium formats provided to them. A combination is the best strategies for instructor can try on. So it doesn't require ask you to use like a multiple format for every piece of information. For the startup, for the instructor want to apply these principles, we recommend that they provide the key information in more than one medium format. But for other piece of less important information, you can choose different format. Like for this piece, you can use the readings, and the other piece, you can use the infographic. And for some very complex concept, you can provide more background knowledge, vocabulary, and use some symbols and scientific notation and concept map. It can help you to organize the information in a very visual appeal way to students. Yeah, so we introduced this strategy. You will wonder like how do I create infographic? How do I create a concept map? So for next Tuesday, our software series on Tuesday at 2 o'clock, we're going to provide a workshop for 1 hour, both on campus and Zoom available. But on campus, we're going to limit the participants to 10. So we're going to introduce 2 tools, PictoChart and Prezi. They are infographic and presentation tools. Just come and I will walk you through how to create an infographic or a visual appeal representations in 1 hour. I guarantee everybody these 2 tools are user-friendly, and I guarantee everybody you're gonna to walk away, become an expert in using these tools just in 1 hour. First, we ask them to representation is for the content. The second, multiple means of engagement is during the process of learning. So it motivates and engages students in multiple ways. So we want to increase the students' interest, especially in the online learning environment. We can make the content more relevant to the students' life. And to increase the student effort, we giving them the choice and the voice. For example, we can let the students vote on which tools they would like to use for collaboration. We check in with the students' expectation, their preference. And for the self-regulation, we kind of want to build a kind of a motivation for the learners to want to learn. So we provide them with prompts or immediate feedback so that they can check in, do a self-reflection on the text they're processing. We can post assignments with a checklist of the mini goals, or we can provide them with like rewards throughout the entire learning process. Here is an example that I've tried on in my past, like face-to-face teaching, is create a learning station. The students rotate on different tables. I call it a maker space station that students rotate on different tables to working on different projects. They have different learning approach, but they are learning the same topics. This for students can learning a piece of information in different ways. It will be slightly different when you want to implement this strategy on in an online learning environment, but it's still durable. The author, Kara Dama, write an article on how to implement this learning station rotation strategy in an online environment. You can have your students, for example, watch a video or create artworks with an article or other learning activities, but they are process the learning activity in groups and in a different sequences, like different orders. In this way, it gives the students choice and voice, and students like to learning the information in different ways. Like they like to watch videos, and they like group works, like other case studies or something they want to learn this. They have different learning styles. So it's very good to provide the students more choice and voice. The third principle, which is our last one, is about multiple means of explorations. This is more focused on the assessment piece. It allows the students show what they know in multiple ways. The assessment piece, for example, I can give a few examples that you can allow the students to provide a different approach to show what they whether they meet their learning outcomes. You have like, for example, a survey test. You can provide multiple questions prompts. So the students get to choose which topic they want to address in this survey. You also need to check the progress. And in the very beginning, it's good to provide the students with a template about the assignment or outline or sample assignment. So the students will know very exactly the expectation they have. And the other example is that for example, for the final assessment or some like a big assessment, you can have like different challenges. You can provide them options that for like in the very novice level or in the advanced level, you assign them with different level of challenges. Here is a very great example is MOOC. I was in when I was in UMass Amherst, I teach this online course for multiple times. So in the end of the activities, I like designed the 3 layers of the assessment. So for the novice level, they only need to design a learning activities, demonstrate what they learned in this course. In the intermediate level, they need to design a lesson plan. And for the high flyer, they need to design a lesson plan, and also they need to act it out in their own class and share the results with any other students in the class. So it has like the 3 different levels of challenges, and it went very well. And based on statistic calculation, we find that majority of the people they choose the intermediate level and the high flyer level. And if you're interested in learn more, you can click on the course link. It has like we followed the UDL principle to design this online course. And after we finish the running the course, we do some research. We find out some sought for lesson we learned, and we calculated the feedback we provide throughout the online course, and we find 9 types of feedback that can boost the student engagement. You can also check out this later. So I've introduced several strategies. This is a UDL checklist worksheet. I will also provide this to you. You can look at the worksheet and contribute your own part. The very important thing that I don't want everybody to feel overwhelmed or like scary about all the principles. We encourage the instructor to thinking everybody in mind, but we don't want you to totally change your course, like redesign your course in every details. You have to be very mindfulness. Okay, so the start is I'd say if you want to try a tiny single ideas, every time you teach the same module, that is a huge success. So do not like think so big that you want to reform your course at a very high level. Just trying the strategy little by little. That's my end of advice to everybody.
That's good advice. Very good advice. We always say it's progress over perfection. And I know a lot of us are very high achievers and we want the absolute best for our students, but we need to, like you're saying, look for the low-hanging fruit, feel some success, experience some success with small, just small chunks. And at the end of the semester, you find that you have quite a few additional tools that you've collected and feel comfortable using. So we're looking now at this logical framework, this relationship, if you will, between the universal design for learning, which we do utilize here at Quincy College in our online classrooms, and what's known as differentiated instruction. Carol Ann Tomlinson, I think I have a copy of the book here somewhere. Of course, it's not handy. But Carol Ann Tomlinson and Jay McTighe wrote a book that takes the principles of backward design and differentiated instruction and marries them together. We're going to talk about universal design, which is not that different than backwards design. And we're going to just, target a little bit about what that looks like in our online classroom. So when we're differentiating, whether it's an assessment, whether it's an activity, whether it's the content itself, we're looking at very specific parts of the whole. And you see that the various photos or images of the brain, that's because we're always focusing on engaging students at deeper and deeper levels as they continue to work through the course. So we're focusing on the what of learning, and that's the content. And Melody referenced that as the different ways of representation. We're also able to differentiate the how, and that's the different ways of action and expression. But for the process in our online classrooms, we can differentiate how the students get there. And if you will, think of a roadmap. At any given time, when you have a map in front of you, or whether you're using a GPS, Waze on your phone, there are various ways of getting from point A to point B. And typically we want to take the route that doesn't take the longest, it has less traffic or whatever. Now, if you consider yourself the GPS or the roadmap for the students, you are the one who knows the path, the learning path that they are going to be engaged within. You know where they're going to struggle. You know where they're typically going to do well. So therefore, if we take that now to the roadmap, you know where the heaviest traffic is. You know where all the potholes are. And if there's going to be a lot of rain, you know the best way to get them from point A to point B safer. So in that sense, when you're differentiating at the process level, you're thinking about various ways that students can go through in order to end up with the same product that, of course, is aligned to those course objectives. And that leads us to the why of the learning, which is the product, the end result. And Melody referenced this as the different ways of engagement and motivation. So I'm going to dig in a little bit deeper here. And before I do, I'm going to share with you a couple of images. This image you may have already seen in passing. I've titled this "Fair Isn't Always Equal." Now take a look at this image, this cartoon. For a fair selection, everybody has to take the exam. Please climb that tree. Now, clearly you can see that there are, the monkey probably has that easy way up. But what are we supposed to do about the fish or the penguin or the elephant or the otter or the wolf, I guess, I don't know. But this is what our online classroom is like. We create a product, we have the students all take the same path, and we want them all to climb the tree. And what we really need to be doing is asking ourselves, is climbing the tree relevant for all? Can they all do it? Do they have equal access? That's the fairness and the equity behind it. So let's take a look at this image. And I'm sure you've seen this in your passing as well. I like using this three-way image when we think of our online or our face-to-face classrooms. Now, if you take a look at the image on the top left, that's the assumption that everybody benefits from the same support. That goes back to the last image with the tree, right? In this image, everybody has the same references, everybody's going to go through the same learning path, and everybody's going to create the same product. So in this image, they all have the same size box. Obviously, they're not all able to see the soccer field. The bottom of that, we see, well, now we've given a few students some, different boxes. So we have the student with the yellow shorts. Well, that student has 2 boxes. The one with the red shirt has 1 box, and the one with the gray shirt has no boxes. Well, that's great, because that does at least, right, we've offered some varying support. Maybe we've provided some accessibility into our documents. So we've taken our PDFs and we've made sure that screen readers can read them. Or we've made sure that we've put in a couple of different types of resources to help students at various parts. And Mark, this is sort of going along to your question. This is an okay image, right? I mean, everybody is seeing the soccer field, but wouldn't it be wonderful if we just take the fence down, right? You see the image with the boxes at varying levels. That's a that's a reactive approach, not proactive, reactive approach. The biggest one in the middle here, on the right-hand side rather, well, that's a reactive approach. The idea being, look, we want all of our students to see the playing field. We want them all to have the ability to successfully complete the course, meeting all of those course objectives. So why don't we just take down the obstacles from the very, very beginning? Well, that's easier said than done, right? We have to really put a lot of time into that proactive process. So I'm going to share with you something that I discovered from O'Donnell Learn. You're going to get a lot of this. You're going to get all of this content, by the way, in all these resources. So O'Donnell Learn is a nonprofit learning organization, and they took the Learner Connectedness Survey, and they created 5 dimensions on this survey. Now, the Learner Connectedness Survey is not a new survey model. It's actually been used in various ways for many, many years. But O'Donnell, what they did was they focused it on online learning. And the interesting thing about this survey, and you see at the bottom of the screen, you can obtain an editable copy of it. You can go in and you can adjust the wording. You can adjust what the students are actually seeing, what you need to share with the students so you can gather some good information on 5 dimensions. Their name and identity, how they want to be identified, individuation and affirmation, so important. So that's now what we're doing is, when we're looking at name, identity, individuation, and affirmation, we're building a relationship with our students. We're learning more about them. Logistical considerations. Now, right now we're online, but are we considering, or do we know a lot about their internet access? Do they have a quiet space? Do they have a computer? Are they trying to complete their coursework on their phone? And then you're taking the pulse. There's a whole section on taking the pulse. So you're getting to know them a little bit about who they are as a learner, their mindset. Do they have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? Do they believe they can learn anything with the right amount of support? Or are they coming to the table, are they coming to your course already feeling as though it's going to be the same old song and dance, I'm not going to do well? And then connection points, additional questions that allow you to learn a little bit more about your students. So this short learner connectedness survey is something, again, you can easily edit, you can download, you can share with your students, and it will allow you to learn a little bit more about who they are right in the beginning of the course. This sets you up proactively to eliminate those fences from day one. So you're not having to scramble and put things together at the very end or in the middle, and that, because that's high stress, and we just don't need to do that. Here's another image that I wanted to share with you today. This is from the New York Times from April. You could go online. We're actually going to put this resource for you as well. It's on the PowerPoint at the end, and you'll get a link to it. But this article came out in April of 2020. School in Philadelphia, college in Philadelphia, a small college, a little larger than Quincy College. And what you see here are two students that were told in April that they needed to leave the campus. Now, the student on the left of the screen, well, her parents had a vacation home in Maine. I think it was Booth Harbor, Maine. And so she obviously had a comfortable place to go. I'm sure she had internet access and equipment, devices, and that just kind of paints the picture where this student can easily engage in continuation of the course. The student on the right, well, she went back down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to help her mother with her food truck. And no internet access whatsoever. They were more concerned at the time about survival because their resources, their food, what they were using to sell, it was slowly being eliminated. They weren't able to purchase. And so we have two images of very different lives that have been impacted by COVID that are not dissimilar to the lives of our students. So it is something to consider when we're setting up our online classes and face-to-face classes for that matter, when we do come back on campus, setting it up for success for all students. That's the universal design of learning. And what we did back in April is we quickly transitioned right to the remote classroom. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the bandwidth immediacy matrix. This is something I came upon a short while ago. Actually, I think I'm going to stop here. Do we have some questions, Melody? Because I'm seeing that the chat is busy. Does anyone want to turn on their mic? I have a screen over here, by the way, so if you see me looking, I'm not like gazing out the window. Does anybody have any questions? Want to open up your mic or comments?
I was just making sure that instructors and faculty know that there are loaner laptops and hotspots since we're speaking of equity for students. So I had just posted that in the chat. So
in the chat, yeah.
The president just put that. I mean, I knew that. I've known that for a long time, but the president did just reiterate that in his most recent email as well.
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else? All righty. Well, please continue to use the chat. Melody, if we have more and more questions, just let me know and I can stop. We don't have too much more to go, and I want to make sure that we have a balance of shared content and conversation. So let's just move on to the bandwidth immediacy matrix. And I want to bring back to memory our quick transition, or I guess it was a triaging is what I refer to it, to remote instruction back in April. And we all did what we needed to do and we jumped on Zoom. And we made it work. A lot of us made it work. We were able to connect with our students. And Zoom was easy to use. So now we went through the summer, and many of us taught during the summer, and we continued to use Zoom, etc. And now here we are in the fall of 2020, obviously still online, and we're still using Zoom, and we should. But I want to point out like what this matrix is sharing about the use of what's being referred to in this matrix is the bandwidth immediacy. So if you will, take a look at the horizontal bar going across, that's the immediacy bar, and then the vertical is the bandwidth. And so we go from high bandwidth to low, and we go from low immediacy to high. So let's bring our attention to the green box to the lower left. And we see in this box, it's identified as a low bandwidth, low immediacy box. Okay, and in this box, we're seeing we have readings with text images and email and discussion boards, again, with more text images. So that's low immediacy because it's considered, a reading is something that, well, I have the reading or I have the email, I can take a look at it and read it. And it's not a lot of rush, not a lot of immediacy. It's sort of at the low end of my bandwidth too, because it's reading. It's what I've done in the past. So I'm familiar with this. If we switch over to the blue, bottom, we see again we're at low bandwidth, but we're at high immediacy. And this box is containing a Google Drive collaborative document. It's maybe using Slack. Melody and I were talking about the use of Slack, which you'll get some information. But if we think of that collaborative document, it's still low immediacy, but it's a little more, I'm sorry, it's still low bandwidth, but it's more high immediacy because students know that they have to respond to their peers. Maybe they're working on a document that they're working on together. It's a collaborative group project. Maybe they're responding to their peers with some feedback because they just saw a couple of presentations and they need to put some feedback in that document. So that's that low bandwidth, low immediacy, and high immediacy. And let's now go up to the yellow. Now we're seeing the use of the video. We're seeing the TechSmith relay video. We're seeing some asynchronous discussion with video. We're seeing the asynchronous with audio. Maybe we're just seeing the audio. This is considered that low immediacy again because it's a video my instructor made or a video my instructor placed into my online course. It's a higher bandwidth, well, because, well, it's completely online. And, you know, I have to make sure that I'm watching it. The module is going to close. And, you know, some of the videos maybe are large. Maybe there's a half an hour, 45-minute video that I need to watch. And now we switch over to those live video or audio conferences. And we see here it's high bandwidth, high immediacy. And so that's in the moment. Everybody has to be present. So what we want to do is not focus or be in one of those four boxes all the time. We want to have a nice balance. And so in our online classrooms, we're considering those low immediacy, low bandwidth, engaging instructional materials, and we're also considering that video audio conferencing using Zoom. So a nice balance. And that's going to bring me to, again, using Zoom with our online students and using that collaborative document idea. This connects to what Melody was sharing a short while ago about the multiple means of engagement. And Mark, this is exactly what you were referencing. So imagine that you are using Zoom, you're using those breakout rooms, and you have students sharing a presentation. So let's say they all had to create a product, and this goes cross-curricular, by the way, cross-subject. They had to create a product. They could choose a couple of aspects of the product, and they're now needing to share the work that they put together. They have to share this product with their classmates, and you've created some breakout rooms. And so they're in there and they all have a certain amount of time that they have to share. So person A is sharing, and person B, C, and D, well, they have a link to that Google document that person A also has access to. And persons B, C, and D, well, during the presentation of person A, B, C, and D are providing that feedback right away using that collaborative Google document. And so then if you imagine at the end of 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, when person A is done with their presentation, well, right away, person A has some substantive feedback from their peers. And then of course it continues and B goes and C goes and D goes, and you have access to everything. And that's using live Zoom, using the collaborative Google document. Students are highly engaged. There are multiple means of engagement because they're talking, they're sharing, they're using a Google Drive, and they're synchronously connecting via Zoom. So Mark, that's one example to your question you asked a little while ago. And the last thing that I'll share with you is called a raft. Rafts have been around for a very, very long time. Raft is another way of creating multiple processes for students and multiple products for students. And it could be, you know, different parts of the content for students as well, all reaching the same objectives. So Raft, it's an acronym. It stands for Role, Audience, Format, and Topic. And you see a couple of examples of rafts So again, the unit is Romeo and Juliet themed. They've rushed to decisions and they have benefits and consequences. So it's a theme, right? And a student can take on the role of anyone in the story. So let's say a student takes on the role of Juliet, the audience is Romeo, the format is a letter, and there's the topic. You can decide the role, the audience, the format, and the topic. You can preset all of this for your students. You could also have them. So once they read something in US history or something in mythology, or once they create something in accounting or whatever, or they're learning something about the accounting profession, you tell them that they have to present to you before they begin the role, the audience, the topic, and the format. You okay it, they work on it, they present it to their peers via Zoom. So this is another way that you can easily, and you can use the same rubric, by the way, it's the same rubric. You can easily adapt the process, the product, and the content in your classroom while maintaining high levels of fidelity to the course, high levels of expectation for our students, and they're all meeting the objectives of the course, and they're all engaged. So that's another easy way. And again, you're going to receive, there's a link at the bottom of the screen. You're going to receive more and more information about Rafts. And I see that a couple of you have, do you want to, I know some of you have to leave. We have meetings at 1 o'clock, but real quick, does anyone want to just turn on their microphone and add something or ask? No pressure.
Lisa, I would just say thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Very, very well done. Thank you. You and Melody. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. And I get a lot of, and Melody as well, we get a lot of our ideas from our colleagues. So I want to give a shout out to our colleagues. Any final thoughts before we end for today? All right. So again, every Friday, we have a professional development session from 12:15 to 1 o'clock. The next session is December 4th. You don't want to miss this one. We're actually going to be joining our Quincy public educators for a conversation about multicultural education that crosses over face-to-face into online classrooms. This is a super important conversation. It hits close to home with our student base. So you don't want to miss that one. And then, as Melody mentioned in the beginning of the session, we also have our Spotlight series. And Melody, this Tuesday coming, is going to present Pictograph. And what was the other one? Oh, Prezi, correct, Melody? Prezi, yes.
Pictochart and
a Pictochart, thank you, yeah. So she's going to show you how you can easily navigate through both of those, and I've used both, and they are relatively easy to use. You can come here on campus, but we do ask that you sign up ahead of time. You'll be getting that email shortly, hopefully later on today, if not tomorrow morning. I work on the weekends, so you'll be getting that, so you can go ahead and sign up. If not, we will present virtually. And then, of course, the Getting Started series, that will be the following Tuesday, and we are going to target something else. We're not sure yet. We just had a target for Canvas, and we'll send an email out to you when we decide what the next Getting Started topic is. And with that being said, I want to thank you all for joining us on behalf of the Quincy College Online Learning Innovation Hub. Thank you for spending your time with us today. We hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank you.